Happy Friday, youth developer. This is Patty Zito, your lifestyle coach and nutritional therapy consultant at your service. In today's video, I'm going to do a book review on this awesome book. The question I have and what I walk away with this book is when we share like our one-time story, like I think a long time ago, I used to do this, or I did that, or I was here and now I'm here. It really does create a space between us and who we're trying to help. And sometimes we confuse that disclosure or transparency as vulnerability. And that's not vulnerability at all. So stay tuned. Right. So as some of you know and follow me on Instagram, I read about 1 to 2 books a month. And this book I read last year, but one of the latest books I have read, well, actually, I'm still in the middle of reading because it's a really thick book. It's How to Read a Book. I'm still in the process of reading How to Read a Book. And just the first maybe 3 chapters has been very helpful in how I go about approaching a book. Now, if you've been following me in this channel, I'm pretty sure I've disclosed this, or maybe not. But when I was little, I used to get so excited when my mom will take me to go buy new textbooks because, I was very little. This is back like in Peru. And they will have like in Barnes and Nobles, like big tables with books piled up. Well, I was small enough to go right above the table and sniff the textbooks. Please drop a comment if you love smelling books like I do. I mean, I used to like look forward to forget about like buying clothes or something for the new school year. My thing was I was about to sniff some textbooks and it was like amazing. Okay, anyway, so besides that, what I learned from this book, How to Read a Book, is to take a look at the feel of book, right? So one of the first things that this book talks about, and when I mean this book, I mean this, is to look at the table of content. And so Dare to Lead has a really good table of content. And as you can see, it's important for Brene to talk about her first section. And that section is rumbling with vulnerability. When I think of rumbling, I'm thinking like conflict. There's like going back and forth. If you're Latina, let me know if the L stands for loud. I'm kidding. That's my husband's thing on me. The L for Latina stands for loud. Sometimes I can't hear, and then I'm also very passionate. But anyway, I digress. So going back to the whole rumbling, she spends a good time explaining what that means. Section 1, the moment and the myths. Section 2, the call to courage. Section 3, the armory. Section 4, shame and empathy. So she's been a researcher for over 20 years on this topic of shame. And for Patty over here, who has felt that for a really long time, it was very important. And section 5, curiosity and grounded confidence. This whole first section has been huge for the podcast that Jimmy and I host. If you want details, the details will be in the descriptions below. And we do like a whole season of this past summer on increasing our vulnerability. Dare to Lead. Okay. So then after you are done with section 1, or what she calls part 1, actually, that's actually better because that's what the book says. Then you get to part 2, living into our values. Part 3, braving trust. Part 4, learning to rise. I love how that foundation lays on rumbling with vulnerability. So rumble to me doesn't mean like a one speech and I show somebody something and I disclose. And there's also a huge difference. This was a big aha for Jimmy. The aha was There's a huge difference between disclosure, honesty, transparency, authenticity, and vulnerability. We get them all mixed up. And part one of this book right here does such a great job really filling that out. Now, for my top three reasons why this book has been my biggest, a big a game changer for me, it started with this quote. And also, another thing from this book, how to read a book, it's very important to take notes and really own your book. So as you can see, I have a couple of little elephant ears. I think that's what you call it. I think that's what my husband calls it. I call them dog ears because I think they're cute. Elephant's kind of big. So, but this one's a truly elephant ear. So anyway, I have lots of notes in every single page that I could go back and review. But this is how it started for me. And this is almost now, I read this in 2018. I've reviewed it again for the podcast, but it's been 2 years. And this is what caught my attention. Leaders, so if you're a leader, which is you, especially if you're a youth developer, leaders must either invest a reasonable amount of time attending to fears and feelings. That's big. A lot of us shy away from that, right? This is business. This is work. In church, we're not about feelings. We're about the being righteous, right? Like we're like afraid of feelings. But I read it again. Leaders must either invest a reasonable amount of time attending to fears and feelings or squander an unreasonable amount of time trying to manage ineffective and unproductive behavior. Now, when I read this, I thought about all the sites that I've led in the after school program and summer camp. And it's so true because I had a really unique opportunity to be in different communities. And when I think back about the either staff or parents or stakeholders that I did not feel a connection, it was definitely because of this. It's when I was afraid to go in there, right? Even myself, just with tons of fears of trying to protect myself, did not allow that connection. And that connection meaning building that trust. And so that quote really hit home. It has also hit home when it comes to, and as I mentioned earlier, we've done a podcast, a message to Christians, that in many churches we can shove feelings as not being righteous, or you need to get better, or you're struggling, right? Instead of actually attending and being there for that person. And obviously I've done that myself in separate friendships. So, and I see the consequences of that. And then I've also seen when I'm there, when I have walked with people through those times, or even like more to my heart, when people have been there for me, who have rumbled with me at that moment in time. So that was number one, the biggest thing that really allowed me to break this book down. I mean, digest it to what that means. And in this book, again, back in 2018, I had to really go back and take a look at myself and myself as a leader. So that was number one, which is to invest that reasonable amount of time attending to fears and feelings. And here's number two from this book. And what I will encourage every leader is to look at this book. Okay, this caught my attention, obviously, as a leader, but to look at this book, going back to what this channel has been saying for over 3 years, put the mask on you first, then on your teams, on your family, on your children, whoever you lead. Take this book when it comes to courage, when it comes to vulnerability and going first and rumbling. Take this book as it's speaking to you, not someone else that you think it's a great leader. I've actually gotten a text saying that this has shed some light on me as a leader. Well, I believe that is shedding light on you as a leader, and that we all take part of this mission as leaders in daring, because there are not many people who dare. And then the last thing, or my biggest takeaway on how to go about this book, it's where I close. This is in page 71. Oh man. There's that difference between armor leadership and then daring leadership. And it's such a good way to look at the left and the right and to see the translation and to see the difference. Jimmy goes over in the podcast again. You could look at the link below if you want to listen to that season. He does an amazing job and he speaks from experience, because that's really the only way, not the only, that is a strong foundational way to influence and to influence change. And again, in change in you, right? This is the youth developer, where we believe that the best form of youth development, of developing our youth, is by us, the adults, living to our God-given potential. And then this book will unfold that, or help unfold that. This is Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. My takeaways and how it really has influenced me personally as a leader. And it has encouraged me to dare to lead, to go first, to rumble with vulnerability. If you like this video, please give it a like, share with your friends. If you have read this book and you're a subscriber, please leave your comments below. Tell me why you picked up this book, what you love about it, what has been your biggest takeaways as we continue to share in this community. Youth developer, thank you for being here, supporting, liking, sharing as we move forward of living and striving to live a life to the full as adults, living to our God-given potential first. Self-responsibility, right? As we've again mentioned in this YouTube channel for years, right? Personal victory first, then it's public victory. But let's start with us. Let's start daring to lead, and we'll see you next week.